Ready, Freddy. Camping Catastrophe by Abby Klein. Illustrated by John McKinley. Chapter 1. Snakes and Skunks. I can't wait until tomorrow, I said to my best friend, Robbie, as we sat eating our lunches. Me neither, he said. It's going to be so much fun. What are you dorks talking about? Barked Max, the biggest bully in the whole first grade. Are you two starting a new ballet class? I'm going to a new ballet class tomorrow, Chloe chirped. My mom even bought a fancy pink tutu with silver sequins. No one cares, Max interrupted. Besides, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Freddy and Robbie. Well, you don't have to be so rude, Chloe continued. I was just saying dash. Max cut her off and turned back to us. So, what are you two doing that is going to be so much fun? This ought to be good. We're going camping with my dad, I said, smiling proudly. Where? Said Max, chuckling. In your backyard? For your information, said Robbie, we are going to spend the night out in the wilderness. Really? Said my friend Jessie. That sounds so cool. I always wanted to go camping. I know. Me, too, I said. What kinds of things are you going to do? First, we have to pitch a tent. Then we'll probably go fishing and swimming in the lake. We'll build a campfire and make s'mores. Where are you going to sleep? Asked Chloe. What do you mean? Said Robbie. In the tent, of course. In sleeping bags. But that's so dirty, Chloe said, wrinkling up her nose. And there are so many bugs. That's the fun of it, said Jessie. Yuck! I don't want bugs crawling on me in the middle of the night. Yeah, they might even crawl up your nose, Max said, wiggling his fingers like a spider on Chloe's face. Eewee wow! Chloe screamed, slapping Max's hand away. Get your hands off me. You are so gross. And you're such a baby, Max said, laughing. I am not. You are, too. Am not, Chloe whined. Are, too. I'm going to tell Miss Becky on you, Chloe cried as she got up from the table and stomped off to find the lunch aide, Becky. Baby! Max called after her and stuck his tongue out. Then he turned back to us. Pitching tents? Fishing? Ha! What do the two of you know about that? Well, a big, fat nothing. You two babies don't know anything about camping. I bet they know more than you, Jessie interrupted, pointing her finger in Max's face. I bet you've never slept anywhere but in your own bed with your little teddy-weddy bear and your baby blanket. Boy, when it comes to Max, Jessie is so brave. She is never afraid to stand up to him. Well, Max stammered. Exactly, just as I thought, Jessie said. You've never been camping before, so stop acting like such a big shot. Max stared at her. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He didn't really know what to say. How does she do that? Thanks. That was great, I whispered to Jessie. It's nothing. She smiled. So how long are you guys going to be gone for? We're just going for one night, said Robbie. Freddy's dad has never been camping before, so we thought one night would be a good way to start. You guys are going to have a blast. Yeah, my dad said that we are going to catch lots of fish and cook them for dinner. I'm going to catch a really big one. Me, too, added Robbie. I'm going to catch one bigger than your head, Freddy. Are you going to tell ghost stories around the campfire? Asked Jessie. Of course, Robbie said. I know some really scary ones. Of course we are, I answered, trying to sound brave, but secretly hoping that Robbie's stories wouldn't be too scary. After all, just the sounds of all the night creatures were enough to scare the pants off of me. Just watch out for the 2 S's, said Jessie. The 2 S's? Yeah, the snakes and the skunks. Ha ha, Max laughed. The skunks. You mean the stink bombs. What do you mean, the snakes and the skunks? I asked nervously. Don't you know the woods are full of them? Said Robbie. It's their natural habitat. Robbie is a science genius, and he knows a lot about animals, so I knew he wasn't making this up just to freak me out. Nobody said anything about snakes and skunks. Don't worry, they won't bother you if you don't bother them. If you say so. I was beginning to wonder if this trip was such a good idea. Oh, stop worrying, Freddy. We're going to have a great time. Who said I was worried? It's going to be a real adventure, Jessie said, patting me on the back. I wish I were going. Yeah, it'll be great, I said, smiling weakly. A real adventure. Chapter 2. The Bet. The next morning I was up, dressed, and was ready to go at the crack of dawn. I ran into my parents' room and jumped on top of my dad while he was sleeping. You uff, my dad cried. Then with his eyes still closed he mumbled, Freddy, why are you tackling me in the middle of the night? It's time to get up, Dad. Let's go, 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 I said, trying to pull him out of bed. He was as heavy as a bag of rocks. What time is it? He asked, rubbing his eyes and squinting at the clock. Morning. Freddy, honey, my mom said, yawning. It's only 5 o'clock in the morning. Go back to sleep. I can't, Mom. Dad and I have to get ready to go camping. But you're not leaving for another 4 hours. Robbie's mom said she'd drop him off at 9 o'clock. 4 hours. I can't wait that long. Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to, my dad grumbled. And if you don't let me get a little more sleep, then we might not be going at all. You don't really mean that. Do you, Dad? Freddy, your father just needs a little more rest. Since you're awake, why don't you go look over the packing list and make sure you haven't forgotten anything? Good idea, Mom. I'll be back soon. Not too soon, my dad muttered as he rolled over and pulled the covers over his head. I dashed back to my room and picked up the checklist my mom and I had made, so I would be sure not to forget anything. I ran my finger down the list: sleeping bag, check, fishing pole, check, canteen, check, shark head flashlight, oh no. My shark head flashlight. When I was packing yesterday, I couldn't find it, and I was going to look for it later, but I forgot. I couldn't go without my shark head flashlight. I had to find it. I looked under my bed first. I found a plastic hammerhead shark, a quarter, and a baseball card I thought I had lost, but no shark head flashlight. I rummaged around in my desk drawer and pulled out a picture of me and Robbie at the pool, my new shark tooth necklace, and my membership card to the aquarium, but no shark head flashlight. I was starting to get a little panicked. I could not go camping without my shark head flashlight. I am afraid of the dark, and I have to sleep with a nightlight on. I was secretly planning to leave my shark head flashlight on all night inside my sleeping bag. I sat down on the edge of my bed and hit my forehead with the palm of my hand. Think, think, think. Oh, I know, I whispered. I bet Susie took it last weekend when she and her friends were having a sleepover, and she never gave it back to me. I jumped up off the bed and walked across the hall to Susie's room. Her door was shut, so I turned her doorknob very slowly and tiptoed inside. She was sound asleep and snoring so loudly she sounded like a sick pig. One of these days I was going to have to tape record her snoring and play it back for her, so she could hear how she sounded. That would be good for a few laughs. I scanned the room quickly but didn't see the flashlight anywhere. Great! I was going to have to search for it. I got down on my hands and knees and started crawling around her room. I looked on her bookshelf. Not there. I looked on the floor of her closet. Not there. I looked behind her dresser. Not there. I was about to look under her bed when I bumped into the bed by accident. Susie screamed and sat straight up in bed. Who's there? Who's there? I popped up and covered her mouth with my hand. Shhhhhh. It's only me, I whispered. She yanked my hand off her mouth. Hey, get your grimy little hand off my mouth. What are you doing in my room in the middle of the night? She asked angrily. It's not the middle of the night. Oh, whatever. It's still dark outside. The point is, what are you doing in my room without my permission? Looking for something. Why are you looking for something of yours in my room? Because I think you took it. Took what? My shark head flashlight. Why would I want that stupid thing? Because you needed it when you and your friends were telling ghost stories at your sleepover last weekend. No, we didn't. Besides, if I needed a flashlight, I would have asked Mom for one. I wouldn't be caught dead with your lame shark one. It's not lame. Oh yes it is. Is not. Is, too. I could see we weren't getting anywhere, and I was leaving in less than a few hours, so I had to find it. Can you just tell me if you've seen it? I sighed. I really need to find it. Why do you have to find it so badly? Because I need it for the camping trip. I'm sure Robbie will have one the two of you can share. I need my own. Why? Because. Because why? Just because. Oh, I think I know why, Susie said, a smile slowly forming on her lips. You're afraid of the dark. I am not. You are, too. You can't go to sleep without your nightlight on. It all makes sense now. You are planning on using the flashlight like a nightlight. So? You are such a baby. I bet you don't even make it through the night out there in the wilderness. I bet you guys come home in the middle of the night. No, we won't. Wanna bet? Susie asked, holding up her pinky for a pinky swear. What's the bet? If you come home in the middle of the night, then you have to do my chores for a week, but if you make it through the night, then I have to do yours for a week. A week? What's wrong? Afraid you're going to lose the bet? No. Then do we have a bet or not? I don't have all day, she said, waving her pinky at me. Fine, the bet's on, I said, and we locked pinkies. You're going to be really sorry you made it, though, because next week is my week to sweep the garage. Oh, I'm not worried, Susie snickered. I'm going to love watching you rake up all the leaves. Yeah, right, I muttered under my breath. You can get out of my room now. I'd like to go back to sleep. But I still have to look for my shark head flashlight. Well, it's not in here, she said, giving me a little shove toward the door. Then do you have any idea where it is? I'd love to help you, but I need my beauty sleep. Why don't you look out in the tree house? Maybe you and Robbie took it out there the other day when you were playing detective. You're a genius! I yelled, giving her a great big hug. I know. I know. Now can I please go back to sleep? You're the best sister in the whole world. I called as I ran out of her bedroom, down the stairs, and out the back door. Chapter 3. Tent Trouble. I found my shark head flashlight right where Susie said it might be. Then I waited, and waited, and waited. The morning dragged on. Robbie arrived at exactly 9 o'clock. Thank goodness, because I couldn't wait a minute longer. We packed up the car and said goodbye. My mom squeezed me tight. Goodbye, honey. You and Robbie are going to have a great time. Bye, Susie said, smiling. Sleep tight. Don't let the bedbugs bite. Oh, we won't, said Robbie. I brought the bug spray. Yeah. See you tomorrow, I said to Susie. Ta-ta. Or tonight, she whispered in my ear. I grabbed Robbie by the arm. Come on. Let's get in the car. I want to get going. Let's not waste any more time here. We've got a lot of things to do today. We jumped in the car. My dad said his goodbyes, and we were off. The ride to the campsite seemed to take forever, but we finally got there at about 11 o'clock. Mom had packed sandwiches, and we had just finished them when we arrived. Wow. Look at this place, I said as I got out of the car. It's even cooler than I imagined. It's even better than in the pictures, Robbie agreed. Look at the size of that lake. I bet there's a ton of fish in there. What should we do first? I said, jumping up and down. Do you want to go swimming or fishing? Wait just a minute there, guys, my dad interrupted. We need to do a little work before we play. Aw. First things first. We have to set up the tent while it's still daylight. A good camper never waits until nighttime to set up the tent. Let me get it out of the car. Wait till you see the tent, I said to Robbie. It's brand new. We got it just for this trip. Really? Uh-huh. It's huge. It has enough space for 4 people to sleep, plus it has 2 zipper doors and an extra waterproof cover. That cover must keep the condensation from collecting on your sleeping bag. English please, Einstein. The cover stops the morning dew from soaking your sleeping bag. Well, why didn't you just say that? I said, slapping him on the back. My dad came back with the tent and set the bag on the ground. Okie dokie, boys, let's get all of the tent pieces out of the bag before we get started, so we can see what we've got. Boy, there sure are a lot of pieces, I said. That's what directions are for, said my dad. You always have to read the directions first before you put anything together. My dad tells me the same thing, Robbie whispered to me. Freddy, could you please hand me the directions? Sure thing, Dad. I looked in the pile of tent pieces, but I didn't see any directions. What do the directions look like, Dad? What do you mean, what do they look like? What kind of silly question is that? They look like paper with writing on it. I don't see any paper here. Just a bunch of poles and stuff. It's a small piece of paper with some pictures and some writing on it. I had it out last night. My dad's voice trailed off. Dad? Oh no! What? I took the directions out last night to look at them, and I think I forgot to put them back in the bag. Are you kidding me, Dad? I wish I were. That's okay, Mr. Thresher, said Robbie. I bet the three of us can figure out how all of this goes together. Yeah, Dad. How hard can it be? I like your attitude, boys. I bet we can have this tent put together in a jiffy. An hour later we were still standing in a mess of tent pieces on the ground. I give up. This is harder than it looks. I let out a big sigh and plopped myself down on the ground. You're not kidding, my dad agreed. We've already wasted a lot of time trying to put this dumb tent together. We're not going to get to do any fishing or swimming. But if we don't put it together, where are we going to sleep tonight? My dad asked. We had better think of something fast. I was not going to lose my bet with Susie because we couldn't put the tent together. I have an idea, Robbie piped up. Robbie usually had really good ideas. You do? What? Why don't we just lay the tent on the ground like a tarp and sleep on top of it? That's a great idea, I said. You are so smart. Good thinking, Robbie, said my dad. We can sleep out under the stars. That sounds even cooler than sleeping in a silly tent. I bet you can see a lot of stars out here, said Robbie, looking up at the sky. The skies are probably really clear out here without all the city lights. We can do some stargazing. I know a lot of the constellations. I can teach them to you. Awesome! I always wanted to do that. Then it's settled, said my dad. We'll just sleep on top of the tent. So, can we go fishing now? Wait, there's one more thing we have to do first. Now what? We have to gather some small sticks and pieces of wood for our campfire tonight. If we don't have a fire, then we can't cook the fish we catch. Or our s'mores, I added, licking my lips. Why don't you and Robbie take a little walk that way, my dad said, pointing toward the lake, and I'll go this way. Try to bring back as much firewood as you can carry. Okay, Dad. We'll meet you right back here in a little